Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Season Ticket Holders. I'm your host, Dane Livingston, and I have another new returning guest with me today. He's the Fox Sports News reporter, social sports champion, and potentially closet New South Wales supporter, Josh Bristow. How you going, mate?
Yeah, we'll go with that one. Great to see you, Dan. Great to see you still supporting, a team that went down pretty badly yesterday, but that's what true fans have to do, right?
That's true. It's true. Look, that was a really, really disappointing game yesterday. When Ben Hunt goes up for that try, I thought Broncos were looking quite good after that Bulldogs performance. And then just to get blown off the park essentially for like 60 minutes, even with Haas and Carrigan like laying that platform, like what happened, man? Adam Reynolds kicks it out in the full like three times. It was crazy.
I thought Madge was meant to solve this stuff, mate.
I don't know, man. Yeah, Kevy was pretty tight-lipped after the game. I'm sure he would have been too surprised,
He
but
would have been loving that, surely.
You'd have to think on the inside, and then, mate, big question: Ezra Mann back next week? Is he straight into the side?
Oh, it's tough, isn't it? I did actually see a clip. I didn't see it actually on the broadcast, but I saw a clip of him being booed
Yeah,
today at
yeah,
Suncorp Stadium. And whether that's right or wrong, I can't say, but that's got to be a factor, right? Whether you bring him back or not. Like a young guy coming off a pretty significant mistake. I think that's you've got to take that into account, don't you? There's a lot of factors that go into, but I look, to be honest, Ben Hunt hasn't really performed the way everyone thought he would, has he? He's probably looking his age, to be fair, which is probably a fair thing to say with the age he is, but he's just been so good for so long. But it really seems to have caught up with him so far.
yeah, man. I think it was 2 weeks ago, the game before the Bulldogs game, and he had just about the worst game I've ever seen him play. He bounced back really hard in that Bulldogs game, but then obviously against the Panthers, yeah, you'd have to say he made it pretty easy for Madge just to put Mam straight back in at six, move him to hooker, and I'd be very happy with Billy Walters as the 14.
Yeah, right. You're not a pay guy.
No, no, I mean, with Pakes or Walters, that debate.
Yeah.
I think Walters offers more with his kicking game. I think he adds another dimension. Kicked a 40-20 the other day. I think Pakes is really good running game passing, but I think having that third kicking option out of hooker, you always got to like that, mate.
Yeah, to be fair, like Billy has been very good this year. I think he's been one of the most consistent sort of guys, and a credit to him considering the emotional burden he would have had coming into this season.
Yeah, 100%, mate, 100%. All right, look, we can't get stuck into the Broncos, all right? We're here to talk about Magic Round, Josh, because you were there covering it. You were there through the build-up in Brisbane. You've seen it evolve over the years. Just want to give us a bit of an overview of what it was like covering it this year. They always pump it up, the NRL, bigger and better. And I think they did in the end get a record crowd, almost 150,000. I think I got the numbers here properly somewhere. But what did you make of it, mate, compared to other years? And what was this Magic Round like?
Yeah, look, I do have like a bit of a take on it. Like, I love Magic Round; it's a great event. I did feel maybe this year it was sort of maybe stagnating. It's sort of been the same sort of level for the last few, I would say. And then I have never been to Gather Round, but I have had an opportunity to talk to a lot of people who have been at Gather Round and were also at this Magic Round. And I think the AFL is coming for the NRL, man. I know that's probably not a newsflash.
Whoa, big
Um,
call, big call. The AFL does it better than the NRL. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, I know that might shock some people that they might have a little bit more class. That's as someone who lives and breathes rugby league. But the sort of word that was coming out of a lot of people who'd worked on both was that this feels like a school fete and Gather Round feels like Disneyland.
Wow, that
So
is a big call.
yeah, and look, you could say that's maybe rugby league's strength in comparison to the big wigs at the AFL. There is sort of a realness to it, but look, sort of the main thing when all this chat was going on was on the Thursday and the Friday, and the NRL's done this ever since the inception. They do sort of a little fan day, but it was essentially just the same throw a ball through a hoop thing that we've seen, at 50 different things. It was on the footy show back in the day. And then because every team doesn't fly in at the same time, I know it is hard for them, but they do this big launch and it's all either injured guys, reserve grade players, or like a guy who played 50 games for the club and lives in Brisbane.
Didn't one of them put up a coach? Did I see?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the best one for me was, and I loved watching this guy, Shannon Gallant for the Tigers was the Tigers representative.
Yeah,
If you
that's it.
remember
Yeah.
him. And I only basically remember him because he was one of the goats of Rugby League 2 on the PlayStation 2.
Shout out
To
to
come,
Rugby League 2. Isn't there,
to
there's a new
come,
Rugby League game coming, isn't there?
oh, yeah, I'm sure that's going to be good.
I can't wait, mate. I still play Rugby League 4. I've got Adam Reynolds in the South jersey out the back there on the crack it out on the PS5. I played it the other day.
Publicly.
Well, we're tragics, Josh. We're tragics, aren't we?
This is true.
Um,
I'm still on Rugby '08, so I can't really talk.
on the PS3 or
PS2, mate, come on.
can't beat the classic, man. Crash Bandicoot. Mate, for you then, interesting take. I wasn't expecting you to say that actually, because I mean, I suppose just from Sydney looking in, I went to the very first Magic Round in 2019. I
Yeah.
went with a bunch of friends. I think Tim Henderson was there, our friend here. Shout out to Tim, logo designer for season ticket holders. Um, and
Jack
we,
Seconds legend.
what's that?
Jack Seconds, rugby union legend.
And we shot hired a hotel, did the whole thing, mate. Got on the beers, had a really awesome boys' weekend. Fletch and Hindy were in the bubble that year. That was pretty cool to
Yeah.
watch. They got all behind it, and that was new. But I can only imagine watching it on TV. I guess the message they sell us is that it gets bigger and better. And I did get those numbers up just before. They got 149,306 people over the 3 days. That's an average of 49,769. It's up 0.42 on last year and the highest Magic Round ever. Obviously, I mean, we're only talking about 1,000, give or take. Suncorp holds 52,500. It's not totally a big deal that they've sold it out. But the reception, I know people like traveling up there. I like the concept looking back. But from what you're saying, do you think it needs to change up? Because Andrew Abdo did come out and say he reckons they've got overseas interest in the event. I know they've got the Las Vegas launch. It's locked into Brisbane until 2027. So what's your take on the future of it?
Yeah, well, like when I say, maybe it needs to change, I'm not saying it's bad. It's still awesome. I love covering it. And, the people who are there are frothing it, obviously. And, just I woke up this morning to see all the social media stuff of the Caxton still blasting at like 2 a.m. this morning.
You love to
Those,
see it.
those guys would be in the pain box right now, I would imagine, if they're awake. Um, but yeah, I just think maybe it's in danger of you've got to stay innovative. You've got to keep moving forward. And I think the current administration has been pretty good with that. And I just think with the AFL coming in and really starting to get their gather round, having momentum, maybe you look at, look, I know as a Queenslander, you could maybe take it somewhere else. Or I know it was sort of derided early days with the AFL having to play at different venues, but maybe that's an option you could look at as well, sort of spread it out. I know the pull of Caxton Street is there, but it just felt a little bit low rent, I have to say, in the fan experience in and around the ground.
Do you think people though don't really care because Caxton Street gets full, they're getting on the beers. Maybe for families things might have to change a bit, but if they kept holding it in Brisbane for the foreseeable future, they're just going to keep selling it out. So I guess from the NRL's point of view, do they need to change anything?
Yeah, I mean that is a very good point. If it's working, you probably don't need to break it to fix it. Um, yeah,
Well, the other
because just
thing, there you
go
go.
on. No, I was waiting for you.
I was just gonna say, well, I guess the next thing is then where would it be? Because that's the big thing, right? It makes sense to have it in Brisbane. You've got enough Sydney teams. It's almost like half a Magic Round anyway down
Yeah,
here.
don't go
Melbourne.
anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, where could you potentially put it? I mean, I don't know where really makes sense unless you did like a gather round where it is shared to regional venues and that type of thing. Brisbane,
Mm.
Suncorp, Caxton Street, that's just like the perfect location as far as the rugby league is concerned. Where else could you have it?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I mean, the genius of Adelaide for the AFL and Brisbane for the Magic Round is that, right, it has to be a city where the code is number one, but it's not the number one city for that code.
Yeah.
It's got to be a place where they're rabid for that sport, but they don't get enough of it, which obviously Sydney doesn't have that problem. I think like Melbourne has the infrastructure, doesn't it? But I don't think the fan base is there, even though like Melbourne is a fantastic weekend for a bender, right?
I don't think you going to say bend. I thought you were going to say footy, but I mean, yeah. I mean, you see the
Or for
fans,
both.
you see the fans travel for Origin. Then, I mean, to be honest, if you did have it in Melbourne, you had it like Amy Park. I mean, obviously, what's that? Only like 27, 28,000 people. But I suppose you could find a way to share it around. But fans would
Or have
attend
your
it.
have your big games at Marvel or even the MCG, as I know the Storm. were looking at maybe getting a Warriors or Broncos game.
Yeah, it's just a
Got all the, and then you've got all the bars and stuff around it as well. I think Melbourne could work. I've never, I mean, the last time I was in New Zealand was for a high school trip. So I know I've seen that thrown up, but I'm not really sure of the logistics there. But even if they don't take it anywhere, they have to do this dance, don't they? Of like, we can't just give it to the Queensland government, verbatim. So I think it will eventually go somewhere else, and then if that doesn't work, they do the new Coke thing, and we're back now at Brisbane.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's what it is too. Like you said, they can't just come out and say, oh, yeah, Brisbane. I think I got Andrew Abdo's quotes. He goes, I think that at some point in the future, you'd want to take it overseas because our strategy is to try and globalize the sport and we love to take it to new markets. I'm talking down the track. It's an option for us for sure because what our fans have shown is that they like to travel and experience bucket list destinations. So, I mean, I guess you could see like a Vegas type thing. But again, too, like overseas, where would you take it, man? Go to Bali? Like,
I know I was literally about to say that. I know I've been harping on the low rent in comparison to like the AFL going to the Barossa Valley, but do we just lean into what rugby league is and have it in Bali?
Bali, baby, 2028 NRL Magic Round. I don't hate it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a geologist, but how far away is it from PNG? If the PNG team comes in, you could have games in PNG and Bali. This is expansive thinking, Matt.
But Australians already take over Bali almost all year round. Could you imagine? I wonder what the biggest stadium, the biggest rectangular. They must have a football stadium that's half decent.
Yeah, there is a Bali football team. I'm trying to remember their name. They're black and red, but yeah, maybe infrastructure is a problem there as well. But there's plenty of Australians there, and there's plenty of fake NRL jerseys already getting around.
If you want to fake, definitely go to Bali. It's called Kaptan Wayan Dipta Stadium, 23,000 people, and that's in Bali, mate. And that is
Bali United, I think, is their football team.
oh God, you're really challenging me here, mate. Bali United. That's probably where they play, I imagine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, from my point of view, it is Bali United thing, I think, too, by the way. But from my point of view, I love it in Brisbane, man. Coming from Brisbane, as you know, like I love going to Suncorp. The Caxton Street experience, I don't think, how can you really replicate that? That's
Yeah, that is true.
Queensland, rugby league, Brisbane, football, like you've all got there. It's literally around the corner if you haven't been there. Suncorp Stadium, Caxton, right around the corner, basically connected into one. I saw that fly-in video the NRL posted, which pretty awesome. I posted it up on our Instagram. I just don't know how you can beat that level of enthusiasm, that color, the city, the infrastructure, all being in one place at the same time. Not to mention, we love Brisbane, right? It's an awesome place to visit. People say it was a big country town, but I think that image has been shed a little bit in recent years, and like it's a
It is
great place to be, right?
Olympic City, and I guess I was just thinking just then. I mean, maybe this is probably not for another 8, 10 years, but when they do eventually have to do the renovations of Suncorp, which are surely coming in and around the Olympics, I don't think it currently is an Olympic venue because I think
Yeah.
it's missing out on all the upgrades that are going to Vic Park and the new aquatic centre and stuff. But like that, of course, will have to be at least a year or two where the NRL might have to look somewhere else.
Yeah, no, 100%. And that is going to have to be a thing. And I think at that point, when if you have to remove Brisbane as a venue, I think then you could definitely look at having it somewhere completely different. I actually don't hate the Melbourne thing now we've talked about it because like they do have that.
Place to visit.
Yeah, and I've been down there for I think it was 2018 State of Origin. It was 90,000 plus people, 93,000 Queensland, New South Wales, and people just come down for it. Even if the atmosphere at the game itself is a little bit off because they're not really like hardcore fans,
Yeah,
you still got the people, the money, and at the end of the day, it's about bringing the money in, right? Like they don't really care how hardcore these fans are.
correct. And I mean, the Victorian government stumped up money for the Super Rugby Magic Round that I don't think anyone really in rugby wanted because they knew no one would turn up, and that was the case. But look, the Victorian government is interested in bringing rugby type events of this nature to their stadium. So I don't hate it as an idea. The more we talk about it, the more I'm sold on it for maybe a year or two. I want to put it out there. I am a Brisbane backer for Magic Round. I
Told you he
just
was
think you've always got to be thinking of things, don't you?
told you he was a closet New South Wales supporter. So we narrowed it down to Melbourne and Bali.
Yeah, let's do it. Or Japan. I wouldn't mind that.
Oh man, I loved it. I mean, only recently I went last year for the first time, and geez, what a place, man! The food, the people, the culture, amazing.
Bit of a rugby culture over there already, and Val Tavare could just jump into a Dolphins jersey.
Cameo appearance, yeah, they certainly have the infrastructure too. So if they really are thinking outside the box, that actually is a country that probably makes a lot of sense. Easy plane
Time
tickets.
difference is pretty good. The flight is only like 5 or 6 hours, isn't it? At least from Brisbane.
Jetstar's always pumping those sales, mate. I got one for 650 to return to Osaka last year. So
Beautiful.
an awesome place to visit too. Like, okay, now change my mind, man. It's not Bali. Bali's out. If we're gonna go AFL, like we're going Japan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and we don't want to get political on this pod, but with the nature of tariffs and everything going over in the States, is like, and the exchange rate, is Vegas potentially like unfeasible in coming years?
That is going to be a good point too, because I haven't looked what plane tickets like. Not to mention there's price gouging anyway when it comes to events like this. But that is a good point too, because you are going to price out, traditional rugby league fans who can't just fork out 3 grand for return tickets. 25, $30 for a basic vodka soda, $20
Yeah.
for a beer, whatever the hell it is over there. Like it's pretty
I didn't go
crazy, eh?
to I didn't go to Magic Round this year, but I was in the States in around January, February, and I went to an NHL game. Awesome experience at Madison Square Garden, but the cheapest can of beer was 18 US dollars, which at the time was around 32, 35 Australian. And I believe, having had a glance at the exchange rate, it'd be even worse now. Like, I don't think, like, if that continues, I don't think, normal rugby league fans would be happy to pay that, because I certainly wasn't.
Mate, I remember when I moved to Sydney and I paid I think $18 for like an XBA craft pint for the first time and I almost just vomited. But yeah, that's ridiculous.
I hate to tell you, it's that price up here now as well.
Hey, well, if we are getting political, Anthony Albanese is just been re-elected and will freeze the excise on beer, draft beer for the next 2 years, I believe. So
There we go.
that's the Labor government policy and only one I can remember. So no, joking. He's going to cut Hex as well, thank God. Awesome. And just as far as the footy action as well, I mean, I know we always talk about the grounds at Magic Round. I was watching Sunday afternoon footy, and it obviously didn't help that there was a lot of rain in Brisbane. The fields got cut up, but I don't really think it affected the quality too much. Like I know we always go on about it in the lead up. Is the ground going to hold up? It seemed to hold up all right.
Yeah, I think it was fine. I mean, it was pretty gnarly by the end, but it was also beat that one out.
That's all right, man. Podcast. We're not on Fox Sports News, Josh. You go with it.
It was bloody wet yesterday, wasn't it? Like, it was storming down towards the end of that Raiders game. But look, was that maybe one of the best games we've ever had at Magic Round?
Dude, what a way to finish. Well, 4 days of footy if you include the women's state of origin as well. But to finish with a golden point, and it had to be NRL. You had to have a controversial sort of penalty goal to decide it too, right? Just to put all the elements in there. But it was a good game of footy too.
And the four other crazy decisions beforehand, like was it Farlongo not going over the sideline, and
Yeah.
it was insane. I mean, you know, I think if you're a Storm fan, you're probably not agreeing with us, but like, that controversy is what makes this sport what it is, isn't it?
And from journalists and the media, we know what it's all about. I mean, that is one thing about NRL. They just love. We just talk about the rules and refs constantly, right? I don't know if every other sport does this, but literally every week. What was that?
Yeah, I don't watch the game, man. I just read about the Graham Annesley report, which I sorely miss.
I know, mate. Didn't everyone on a Monday? Yeah, but look, and then it was funny because leading into Magic Round, it was about a reverse crackdown, where it's normally the opposite. It was like, no, we realized we cracked down too hard. So then in the weekend, and I think it was true too because we didn't see as many sin bins as we have seen in recent weeks.
And it's funny, isn't it? Like, all week, Abdo was asked on all the panel shows, and then again when he was in Brisbane, and no, there was no directive, and now there's no corrective directive this week. But like, anyone watching the footy over the weekend knows that there was just insane to go from 18 to 0 in the middle of a season. Not 0, but 18 to whatever it ended up being. But again, that's rugby league, baby.
A classic, mate. Absolutely classic. But still, man, awesome weekend of footy too, right? Like I can't wait for Magic Round. It's one of the most exciting times of the year, even though there's some disappointing results from my point of view anyway.
Not a good weekend for Queensland teams, mate.
Did all three
Um,
lose? No, Cowboys. Or did all three lose?
I saw the Brisbane Lions put up a cheeky thing this morning saying they were the only Queensland team that won this weekend.
Oh, below the belt Lions.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that Broncos performance was terrible. The Titans, I don't know what the hell's happening with them. And yeah, the Cows, mate. Well, that was a good game though.
Yeah, that was a great game. I'm surprised you haven't jumped in, hitting me on my David Fafita takes from my last appearance on this podcast because it's not looking good currently because he was dropped and then also not great for the Ipswich Jets, who are bad, against an even worse Northern Pride team, which pains you and me to say.
Man, I'm glad that you brought that up. I was just going to let it slide, but you were trying to defend him last time, and I was sort of giving it to him. But what you told me about the Queensland Cup, what actually happened?
Well, I believe the Pride won their first game of the season. Like it was 20 or 30 nil against Ipswich, and I believe David ran for 50 meters,
Wow.
9 runs or something like that, which is not great.
32 nil. Mate, that's I mean, shout out to the Pride too, by the way. Tymes used to do a great job up there. Loved working with him and Cairns represent. But that's really shocking, right? I mean, $1 million plus a year. The Broncos were going to pay him what was 1.2, whatever it was, at those early
Yeah.
stages for that big contract negotiation to be dropped and then to not. He should be going back to Queensland Cup and just carving it up. Unless there's something hidden and wrong with him, he should be destroying that competition and proving that he belongs for me. He should be in the Origin conversation. He shouldn't even be a question about the Origin conversation. But at the moment, his form is that bad, or it's his attitude, or his injuries, or a mixture of everything. What's going on?
Yeah, I wish I knew, man. As a proud Queenslander, I'd love him to be playing well enough to be back in the team because I still think on his days the most damaging forward that we could probably have alongside Tino, which is insane that the Titans are as bad as they are because their roster is good.
There's nothing wrong with it, man. Dude, I can't. I remember when Fafita, just when that Bronco Titans negotiation was going on, and he was just breaking through and getting like 80 meter, 90 meter plus, just runaway tries, breaking tackles at will. Just they couldn't
Trying
tackle
to
him.
talk in the Cowboys' first game at their new stadium, like that was world class.
The greatest game of all, mate. Um, yeah, dude, they got to pull it together. So I don't know what's going on, and I don't know how he's going to turn it around, but we'll just have to wait and see. And mate, I know you got to go, but Origin, obviously, we're going to be covering it too, just around the corner. It's going to be interesting for Queensland and New South Wales, especially around both teams' fullbacks. Have you thought about much of your Queensland team? I mean, I think
Mate, I
Pong.
think about it every second of the day. What are you
I
talking about?
I wrote my first one out a few days ago. Pong is at fullback, right?
Oh, I mean, he was better on the weekend, wasn't he? And I think if you put your Billy Slater hat on, he probably still is in because Billy has his guys and he really favors incumbency. Um, for me, as someone who knows 10% of or maybe 0.01% of what Billy Slater knows, I might have the hammer at fullback.
Wow. Okay, that's a big call.
Just because I know Kalen has that rib cartilage injury, which is just an insanely hard injury to play through. And if that gets worse or, turns into something else over the next couple of weeks, that could be an upcoming problem. Um,
So you'd leave Ponga out altogether?
potentially if he's injured, and, playing like this, I guess. But I think Billy will pick him if he is available to play.
Yeah.
The Knights might come over the top and say we can't have him playing Origin as well. I think there's still a lot of water going to the bridge, but I'd be safe picking Hammer.
Yeah.
I guess that means you're pretty thin on centers, but it's probably your wings would be Coates, Talangi, maybe Cobbo, and then there's a spare center spot there, isn't there? Jack Howarth probably was in good touch to maybe take that before he did his shoulder.
Yeah, right. I mean, I was thinking Valentine and Hamiso in the centers.
Sorry, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
Val actually has surprised me with how well he's been playing. He was great on the weekend as well, wasn't he?
And he always performs for Queensland because I was thinking him two in the centers, and I was thinking Coates and Cobbo on my wings. I really like what Cobbo's doing at the moment at fullback. He's really stepped up, I think, since he's moved to number one. And obviously,
He's been Brisbane's most consistent player, I believe.
mate, watching every game, I'm not surprised at all. Like you could call me out too when I said I'd take Cobbo over Stags. That was a big talking point in our last podcast. I still love Stags, but
I got a
Cobbo
lot
has.
of actual hate mail from that. I think the punters are mostly on your side on this one, but I'm going to stick to my guns on this.
Oh, I didn't mind it. It was a good debate because it's a really good question too. But I think Cobbo, since he's moved to fullback, has really shown that his true worth. And I think that almost could hurt the Broncos now because there's going to be a club out there thinking he's our number one. And while we've signed Walt,
Absolutely.
yeah, and
Yeah.
while we've signed when we've signed Walsh, unfortunately that's just the way it's worked out. I think Cobbo, it's the more he plays at fullback and impresses, the more chance he's going out the door because the club's going to chuck a bunch of money at him. He should be a fullback now based on the way he's playing. He looks amazing.
Yeah. The one thing in the Broncos' favour in this is that I can't see a future in where he leaves Southeast Queensland. Like he's just such a homebody, and he's back in Cherbourg whenever he can, which gets significantly harder if he's in Sydney or even North Queensland.
That's tough
So
though. You got Hamiso and you've got
yeah, you've got
Keeney.
12 fullbacks at the Titans.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say that's one position they certainly don't need. That'll be interesting, man. And then yeah, DCE and Munster, and then Grant, assuming he's just about fit. Otherwise, Reed Marnie looks like he'd have a chance because Hunt's playing so poorly. And then at 14 will be interesting. Who do they go with?
Right, it's got to be Dearden for mine.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think you can leave Dearden out. Punt's been a good servant for Queensland. I think the most interesting part probably that they're going to have a selection battle is just the forwards because I think Tino and Carrigan pick themselves, and then I
Yeah,
think there's a few spots open like Cotter and Gilbert. I like
yeah.
second row. They're a bit light. I mean, it looks like you might have to go Capewell again. I don't know.
Well, he's one of your favourite players, isn't he?
He was at the Broncos. I mean, look, to be fair, he defies age a little bit. He's still pretty solid.
Again, we've been saying this a lot today, but he has been playing quite well for the Wars. He was
Yeah.
good against the Cowboys.
I'm actually pretty sure when I was doing the team, forwards is a part where I had to scratch my head and dig a little bit deeper. And I think based on the stocks that they've got, I think Capewell is in.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, again, like, just it sucks for the Dolphins and the Maroons. Just the loss of Flegler. He's
Massive,
like exactly the player you need for both
massive,
teams.
massive.
Yeah,
And can you imagine a New South Wales side fronted up by Payne Haas and Terrell May? They're the
Ter-
two form forwards in the competition. Like,
terrifying.
and then for them, I suppose at fullback too. I mean, they've got the opposite problem that we have. They've got two fullbacks that they don't know which one to pick. I'd be going with Tedesco based on how he's been playing, but obviously Dylan Edwards was there last year, so that's going to be a tough selection for them.
Yeah, Tedesco's playing out of his skin, isn't he? And he's like maybe one of the best New South Wales Blues players of all time. Tough to keep him out, but then you know, did Mad shut the door on that era? And they were so good last year, just making sort of clever, pragmatic decisions like that. I know it is Laurie Daly, and he was prone to a Kurt Gidley captaining off the bench, so
That was
we could
weird.
have a couple of crazy surprises in store, which I'm not too sad about.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, man. And then in the halves too, I think you've got to go Nathan Cleary, Mitchell Moses. They got it done, even though you got two sevens. But I don't see what other halves combination you go. And I think with
I mean, they're just good enough to be in the team, right? And Queensland made it work with, Cronk and Thurston, who were two sevens for a long time. I think just if you're a player of that quality, you make it work, right? And we hear it every week. When you ask sort of these questions to people in clubland, they say, "Oh, well, just one plays on the left, one plays on the right these days." So, those two would terrify me as a Queenslander.
Mate, Moses was the turning point last year. He missed the first game. Obviously, that was a little bit ruined by the Swahili hit on Walsh, but he came back into that second game. Second game, I think he scored the winner in the third game potentially, and he was incredible, man. So I don't see how to leave him out. And then you saw Cleary back to his best against the Broncos on Sunday. So I think that's a no-brainer. And they're
Yeah.
blessed in the forwards and the outside backs. They've got to try and choose between Latrell Mitchell, Tom Trbojevic, Bradman Best, Stephen Crichton.
Mate,
Um,
how do we even have a chance? Like, should call it off and just give us the permanent underdog status, I
Josh,
reckon.
are you saying we're underdogs again?
I know it's hard to think about, but I'm leaning that way.
Well, mate, and it's going to be exciting because it'll be you and I heading to Perth for game two. So that's going to be exciting to cover that with you. We'll have to do some Perth
Andrew,
ho Perth hotel room Origin camp block
a live one. I like
pod
that. Yeah, it'd be
live.
good.
Yeah.
Be good to have a Fox Sports colleague that's not at the casino the whole time. Like a certain man with no hair that we know.
Fox Sports News League reporter. What are you talking about? Nah, that'll be good, mate. I still want to go to the casino though, so
Yeah,
teach how to play baccarat. I worked at the casino for 3 years as a dealer.
there you go. A bit of
Yeah.
Rain Man happening.
No, the high roller, mate. No, it's all baccarat, mate. Don't mess with blackjack. You can't count cards, but I'll teach you some things.
Yeah, okay. And this is evidence in our upcoming court case.
We have to listen to the next pod. Bristow, mate, I know you got a busy day in Brisbane as well, so thanks a lot for taking the time on season ticket holders. Always good to have you on, mate. I can't wait to see you in the flesh in Perth.
No worries, mate. Me too. Just one more thing. I got a lot of feedback on how closely you cropped my video in the socials last time. Everyone was telling me all the boogers they could see at my nose. I did notice that your cropping was perfect and you looked very good. So a power move from you, and I see it. I respect it. We'll see what you do in the edit room this time round.
I would love to take credit for that. What was that?
My agent will be in contact.
Oh yeah, that's where the pay will be sent to. Um, that's all thanks to AI, Josh. I have to be honest.
Another reason I hate the future.
Pretty bad. Um, nah, awesome. One thing I forgot to ask you earlier with Magic Round too is no special get-ups this year because, of course, you were very famous for your Harry Potter get-up, which we did use as the thumbnail on the previous podcast with you. We like the dress up. I saw the key live cross.
I was going to say, you've always, like the NRL with the Magic Round in Vegas, you've always got to innovate, mate. And I've moved past costume comedy, and I'm now full steam ahead into prop comedy.
Mm.
Uh, my cricket style key test.
It was very good. If you haven't seen it, it's up on Bristow's Instagram page. Another all-time classic from the grass, man. You do a great job, Bristow.
Thank you. I actually did get in trouble from the groundsman right after. I think he walked over straight after we finished. He's like, "You didn't put that key in the grass, did you?" No, sir. We quickly vacated the stadium.
For those who don't know, Josh went on a live cross on Fox Sports News and did the key test, which did you see how firm the ground is, right? I could actually watch in the video, I could actually see him, I think it was him, in the
Yeah.
background. It was either security guard or the groundsman, and I could see him looking at you intently. You bend down, put the key into the turf, not on the actual field, but just next to it, and did not like that at all, mate. You can't mess with the hallowed turf. What are you talking about?
No, correct.
All right, Bristow. Thanks a lot. We can't wait to see what you do next, mate. Take care, and I'm sure we'll see you for Origin time soon.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Enjoyed it. Cheers.
Legend. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time on Season Ticket Holders. Bye bye.
One.